Hey everybody, welcome to the Mike and JD Show YouTube channel. Thank you for being here. I want you to do me a big favor before you check out this clip. I want you to hit the like button. I want you to throw in a comment and make sure you're a subscriber to this channel. And then I want you to share this video with your friends. Help us defeat the algorithm. And then if you like this content and you appreciate this content, please head over to patreon.com/the Mike and JD Show and support the show. That is how we actually get funded to be able to do this. So we thank you very much for being here. And now enjoy the clip.
uh, uh, Competition starting to get thick. It's the click, so I hope you watch your A game. Ain't made no.
Did you see the news today that AEW is bringing in Mystico for Rampage this week?
Yeah, I had that for the end of the show, but let's talk about it now while we wait for our guest. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I got a point because we're waiting on a guest. So he's gonna wrestle Rocky Romero, which is perfect. Rocky is professional wrestling's forbidden door, like personified. Rocky goes everywhere. Rocky does whatever. The man is amazing, right?
He's a slut. Go ahead.
You say he's a slut. I say he's incredible because he's the only guy who can work everywhere. If Rocky showed up in the Royal Rumble in a couple months, people would go, "Oh yeah, of course it would be Rocky. Who else would be the first guy to do this? Why wouldn't it be Rocky Romero?" You know. So the fact that he's working Mystico is amazing. The fact that Mystico, not as Mystices, is going to be on the same card as Penta is nuts. Like this is a complete and total shift in CMLL business. Like this is like mind-blowing stuff politically speaking. And to this day, Mystico, not fucking Sin Cara, is the biggest lucha star of his generation. And they're smart. They're doing it at a Houston show, right? It's a Houston suburb, but you're talking about something that borders Mexico. So you're doing this to do local promotion. This is just such a good thing to do. And of course, I put that out there, and I get a nameless guy who's like, "What? That's just not a luchador on the show. It doesn't mean anything to anybody else." Fuck that, man. I'm so tired of this attitude where everything has to be growing all the time. We have to grow. We have to grow. We have to grow. Right? What do we say on the show, Mike?
Well, we have to grow. But I gotta say,
what we say.
Oh, fuck the casuals. But you and I got heat right now because you did not quote tweet that using the hashtag bad tweets. Because I think that
Mike, I couldn't.
Oh, okay. Because
I want you to go through my timeline and you'll see why.
Okay.
Never mind. But this is the thing, though. Is like for the last, we'll get into this later. For the last couple years, it's always been you had guys with like these disingenuous takes, like Wade Keller, going, "Well, how do they get their second million viewers? How do they get their second million? Motherfucker, WWE struggles to get 2 million viewers." Yeah, and like the 4-year-old company is expected to just be able to just do this. Like the idea that they should be able to be where WWE is right now is ridiculous. And so what have they done? Tony Khan has listened to these people, right? And he has decided, well, we need to get WWE fans liking our product. They saw what happened. You said this last week before anybody else. Yeah. They saw what happened with the Bloodline. And they said, well, God, we got to do that. We need to do more of what they're doing. So this past year has been nothing but you steering into being more WWE like. And as the month by, they've gotten less and less and less in the ratings and less and less and less in ticket sales, right? To the point where there's lots of fans who were into AEW initially have rejected the product because it's becoming more 2010 TNA instead of 2006 TNA. Right?
Yeah, because 2006 was super innovative. It was cutting edge.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, they were in a studio and they obviously, but it was a little bit different. But like that's kind of what we want AEW to be. But instead, we're steering into, like you were saying, we're steering into essentially, yes, Danny, screw the casuals. We're steering into, hey, we're bringing back the Attitude Era. We're going to sketch comedy now. We're gonna do more sketch comedy. We're going to get away from the awesome wrestling matches. We're still going to have some, but the awesome wrestling matches we're going to have are all going to be muttered with interference, nonstop interference, which was 2010 TNA, a lot of Attitude Era stuff. You can have some of that stuff. I watched Dynamite this week. I thought it was an entertaining show. I had to fast forward through the Roddy stuff because I'm sick of it.
Smart decision.
And then honestly, someone else who's jumping the shark for me already is fucking Toni Storm. Because her black and white sketch I thought was terrible. I like what she's doing in her interviews and I like what she's doing hitting people's shoes. But that sketch comedy stuff, it takes too long.
I agree with that.
And it's not very good, right? And I get that on the other stuff. I watch you because you guys were supposed to be the opposite of them. And so, and AEW absolutely has a higher expectation for it, because they advertised themselves on being the alternative, and now they're steering into what WWE was, which is WWE Light. They're steering into, Eric Bischoff running the company, or John Gabrurik. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. That's the problem right now, is when you try to chase, like Tony Khan's doing also, challenger brand. Fucking act like a challenger brand, man. Like, what is the one metric the AEW has grown? They've grown in the last 2 years in pay-per-views. Why? Because AEW puts on these fucking awesome pay-per-views with great wrestling. And that is what the AEW fan wants to see. Wrestling. What did WWE do the last 2 years? What have they done the last 2 years that's been smart? They built new fans.
Yeah.
Yep. Their teenage audience has grown. And I'm a high school teacher, man. I will tell you, I hear my kids all the time. It's more last year than this year, but I heard it a lot more last year doing bloodline stuff. I walk in the classroom, the kids are all doing this. Like, that was into it. Like, they were into the story. They have built another level of fan by reaching out to those people, right? AEW is trying to reach WWE fans, and WWE fans since 1987 have only been interested in WWE. You will not reach those fans. And it's professional wrestling history is littered with the bones of companies that tried to chase the World Wrestling Federation. And they have not tried to stand out and do their own thing. When AEW was successful and on the come up, it was because they were different. It was because the show was different. It was because we had things. We had Mox bleeding. We had all this crazy stuff. We still do have that. But now you see so much a proliferation of people from the other side have come in. Right? Mm-hmm. There's guys there. People. I had one dude on my Twitter who I like this guy, but he's like, they need to focus on guys like MJF and Tony Storm. I'm like, motherfucker, they're all over the show. They're all over the show. He said, well, they need vignette time. I'm like, how many more vignettes can we give these people? And then I realized you don't actually watch the show. You're just parroting what people say, and that's the problem. Is you don't get honest to God criticism. You're getting people who just parrot things that Eric Bischoff says. And Eric Bischoff's a fucking moron. Why would you listen to Eric Bischoff? He torpedoed WCW when they were the most profitable wrestling company in the world. And in 1 year, he lost his job and took him down. Right? And then they brought him into TNA and he completely cut the legs off from underneath them too. But you're going to parrot this guy's opinions on wrestling. Like, they need to go away from everything they've been doing the last 2 years and get back to what works for them and what excites their fan base, and then find new fans to go from there by doing your thing. Pepsi doesn't try to make a drink taste like Coke, right? They don't do that. They just work on Pepsi. Coke tried to change the recipe once to be like Pepsi. What happened? There's a big catch thing. You should look up the new Coke thing if you weren't around in the 80s. That's a big story.
New Coke completely shit the bed. You if you want to be an alternative, be an alternative. That doesn't mean that you don't, utilize some WWE ideas from now and then. Just be yourself, like, book to your strengths, and don't worry about what that casual audience is going to want, because that's what WWE has those guys on lock. You have this really big, a large audience that will pay a lot of money to watch you guys on pay-per-view. Now you got to just get back to getting them back to the shows, getting them watching your product again, and get hot again. And how you do that, I don't know, but I tell you how you don't do it. I don't think that you recycle 50-year-old WWE Hall of Famers and start feuds from 20 years ago on your television. I don't think that's how you do it. And honestly, the numbers last 2 weeks are proving me right, which we're going to talk about once we bring in our guests here. But before we bring on before
we get the guests, Joe, I dropped a lot of lines, so you got to be more specific in which line I dropped, and I got to move on from, because I don't even know.
Yeah. Tell JD how he was brilliant. He wants to hear that.
I love hearing
we hostile. I clear my throat and preach the gospel. My flow is doper than ever. Nice when we separate, but together there's a murderous.